Hello, this is Jason B. Wilson Zero in X-Force, and this is my independent and limited run posting for the first part of the new year. And today is the 20th. It is a Friday. And with that said, let's jump right in it. And let's take a look at two books here. We have Shinku number 4 by Image, and we have Seven Warriors number 3 from Boom. Now, we'll go ahead and start with Seven Warriors. I'm only showing number 3. This is a 3-part series. I have not shown the first 2 before. Basically, I heard great things about it. I went to go pick it up, could only find number 3. I had to order number 1 and 2 online, and then I read them all at once. And with that said, that is the best way to read this book. It's a really short limited run, 1, 2, 3 done. But even though it's short, it doesn't feel that way. I mean, the way that it's written, you really get invested in the characters very, very quickly. The artwork is also very beautiful. Now, this is a mature book. It's for a mature audience. But it's one of the better series that I've read from Boom. Now, I would recommend you just wait for the trade. But I myself have not really seen a lot of trades from Boom. So I would assume they would produce this. It's such a fantastic series that I wouldn't see why they wouldn't want to put this out on trade. It would definitely sell. But since I really don't see too many trades by Boom, I would say go ahead and try to pick up the singles if you can. Now, I do know it's really popular, so it's very likely they'll be producing second and third prints of this series. Maybe even, instead of a trade, maybe one thick book of this, a comic book of this. But it's definitely a book that if you're interested at all in something different, something with high action and really interesting characters that you will be invested in after the first issue, I definitely recommend you guys picking up Seven Warriors 1 through 3 by Boom. It's a really, really good story here, guys. I can't recommend it more strongly than that. I really can't. And also here to the left is Shinku number 4. Shinku is a really good series, one of the better ones coming out by Image. It is a vampire book. It is an action book. Those two things seem kind of old, already done that, don't want to read anything more like that. Sure, I can see people thinking that, but after reading this, it has a really unique feel. I've been on board since issue number 1, and I think it's a really good book, especially right now. There's not a lot of stuff like this. Maybe a year or two ago, there were a lot of vampire books out there. There's definitely some more vampire books in the main, DC stuff, and there was stuff with Marvel. But Image, I haven't seen too much stuff, with the exception of, the more established stuff like by Image. But this has a really unique flavor. It's action, it's mature, and it's done really well. It does not come out often, guys. So you'll pick up an issue, and then 2 months later, you'll pick up another one. Then all of a sudden, a week later, you get another one, and then you don't see another one for 2-3 months. That sometimes is a price you pay for getting on some of these Image books that, for the most part, usually are limited runs. This, I believe, is ongoing, but I'm not going to say that because that doesn't really mean anything. It could end at any time. But for me, Shinku has been a really fun book, and definitely one that I recommend. If you want a high action book that isn't dumb, like this isn't a dumb action book. Everything that happens in here, there's a reason for it. The characters do have depth, and when they take action and the action is happening, you're invested in the outcome. So it's not like a book you're going to pick up and not care what happens. You definitely care what happens, but there's a lot of action and it's done well. Next up here, and yes, I do recommend both these books strongly. Next up here is another Image book, and my DC limited series. Usually, like I said before, I do my Marvel and DC limited runs, and I put them in with, obviously, DC and Marvel. But I had a lot to review, so I thought it would be best if I did a third posting with all these mixed together. Limited runs with independents. And first here is Severed number 6. Severed number 6 is a really good book. I won't spend too much time on it. Basically, if you're reading Severed, you know what I'm talking about. It's definitely going in a great direction, and you're starting to see the end game now. And that's really cool. I have been very excited about this before it came out, and now that I'm reading Severed, it's going to be a great conclusion. We got a few issues left, but it's a great book. I cannot see why by the time this ends that I wouldn't recommend this on trade. But at this point, if you're not reading it, go ahead and wait till it comes out on trade. It will be coming out quickly. And next here is Hunted number 4. This is really good. Now, if you like Huntress and you want to know who she is now and how she fits in the new DCU, this is really a must-read. Now, I haven't read the Penguin one, which I wish I was picking it up, but at this point, I will have to wait till trade. So I'm not going to say if it's as good as that or not, but what it sounds like, Penguin is just a fantastic read. So I doubt that it's probably as good as that. But I like the Huntress. I want to know who she is now. She's definitely quite a bit different than the, Huntress we knew from the old DCU. Of course, she's changed a few times. Originally, she was like the daughter of Batman and Catwoman and stuff, and then they erased all that. And then she was someone who had a crime boss father, and they kind of kept that. But this is a really great character book. It's definitely high in action, but I think the artwork is really good. It reminds me similar to the style that's in Voodoo, but it's definitely a Bat book, but it has its own flavor. At this point, 4 in, you might want to wait till the trade, but if you like Huntress, this is definitely a must-read. And last up here for my independents and limited runs is Halo Reach, the new and final part of the Reach series, number 1 of the limited run, and Magneto, Not a Hero by Marvel. These are both by Marvel. First off, we'll do Halo. If you've been reading any of the Halo limited runs, this is a really no-brainer. This is the conclusion to all of that. So even though it's its own separate series, I would think you would want to have read at least one or the last of the Halo Fall of Reach stuff to really get the most out of this. This is the conclusion. This is the stuff that happens before the game. Up to this point, the Halo Reach Fall of Reach has been really good. If you like science fiction, if you like the Halo universe, it's really been a must-read. I get this for me and my nephew. All the books I read of Halo, I'm going to be sending to my nephew. And I have to say, the last issues of the limited run, which was focused on the Covenant, it was really good. Probably one of the best Halos to come out of the limited runs. So I have a lot of excitement here for this book, but it has to reach a high bar. And with the first issue now, I think that they're going to be doing just fine. It's a good book. Definitely recommended if you've been reading Halo up to this point. It's kind of like a must. And next here, over to the right, is Magneto, Not a Hero, Limited Series 3 of 4. This was kind of pushed on me initially, but I'm glad it was. The owner really kind of said, look, you want to read this. I know the stuff you're reading, you definitely want to read this. So I did it. Didn't want to add more to my pull list, but I said, well, it's a limited run, it's only 4. Okay, I'll give it a shot. After issue number 1, I was really excited to read the rest. I mean, after issue 1, you had Iron Man and Magneto going at it head-to-head, not action-wise, but just verbally. And then you had Scott and Cap trying to keep the peace. And I thought, wow, this is a well-written story, and I really want to see what happens here. Especially with all the stuff going on here soon with Avengers versus X-Men. This is definitely relevant. And I would say go find the first 2 issues, read them like this. But if you want to wait, hopefully Marvel will put out a trade on this real quickly. It's definitely a really good book. And with that said, those are my independents and limited runs. And I'm curious, have you guys been following any of these books? And if there's some limited runs like Penguin that you guys are reading that you recommend, please let me know. And that includes new series coming out for independents. And with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.